Chapter 4. Okay, ready? Yes, I am prepared to begin the morph, Axe said. It was Saturday, a couple of days after we had all agreed to go ahead with the plan to capture a Yerk ship. We were in Cassie's barn, surrounded by cages full of injured animals and birds. Cassie's father and mother were both away for the day. Jake checked his watch. 10 after 10, he reported. Axe starts morphing at 10:12 and is done by 10:15. The bus will be at the stop at 10:25, I said. It will arrive at the mall at 11. By that point, Axe will have been in morph for 45 minutes. That leaves an hour and 15 minutes on the 2-hour morph time. Is it enough time? Cassie wondered. She was biting her lip nervously. I shrugged. 30 minutes to reach RadioShack, find what Axe needs to make his transmitter, buy it, and get back to catch the 11:30 bus home. That gets back here at 5 after 12. 10 minutes to spare. Jake was looking pretty stony-faced, which is how he looks when he's not sure something will work. It's the best we can do, I said. I know. Everyone ready? Jake asked. I should go with you guys, Rachel said for like the 10th time that morning. I should be there. No, we can't all go. If something goes wrong, we don't want everyone caught at once, I said. And something is sure to go wrong. Why do you say that? Axe demanded sharply. Jake smiled. Marco doesn't believe in optimism. Tobias flew almost silently into the barn through the open hayloft. It's still all clear, and the bus is right on schedule, over on Margulies Avenue. Okay, Axe, time to morph, Jake said. And, don't forget the morphing outfit, okay? I reminded him. The concept of clothing kind of puzzled the Andalite. We'd gotten him skin-tight bike shorts and his t-shirt that he could use for morphing, but he still didn't know why. It's one of the most annoying things about morphing, dealing with clothing. We learned how to morph clothing, but the only things that were really, really tight-fitting. Anytime you tried to morph a jacket or a sweater, they just ended up shredded. And shoes? Forget about shoes. Clothing, yes, he said. I have integrated it into my human morph. Time, Jake said, pointing at his watch. Axe began to change. I'd only seen him do it once before, soon after we rescued him from the sunken Andalite dome ship. I've been seeing a lot of morphing. I've done it a lot, too. It's always creepy watching a human become some strange animal, but watching Axe morph was different. He wasn't becoming an animal. He was becoming a human being. The stalk eyes shrank and disappeared in his head. The deadly scorpion tail shriveled and withered and slithered up inside him like someone sucking up a piece of spaghetti. His front hooves disappeared completely. Whoa, look out, Jake said. He caught the Andalite as he fell forward, with no front legs to support him. Thank you. I must practice standing on my only 2 legs. A gash opened in his face and grew lips and teeth. A nose grew where there had just been a small vertical slit. His eyes became smaller, more human. But the weirdest thing about Axe morphing was not that he looked like a human. It was that he looked like a particular human. Actually, 4 particular humans. See, he had absorbed DNA from Jake and Cassie and Rachel and me. Somehow, by some process we did not understand, he was able to combine all 4 genetic patterns to come up with one person. The end result was definitely strange and disturbing. I looked at him and saw some of myself, and Jake, and Rachel and Cassie too, although Axe was male. That was the most bizarre part, looking at him and thinking, hey, he looks familiar, really familiar. In fact, hey, that's my hair. Axe, you could be either a really pretty guy or a kind of unattractive girl, I said. I am an Andalite, he said. Andalite. Light. Okay, put on those additional clothes, Jake said. Let's get going. Tobias? He looked up at the rafters. On my way. I'll check on the bus, Tobias said, and flew away. More clothing? Clothing. Axe said. Axe, don't do that, I said. What? That, where you play with the sounds. Just say what you need to say and stop. Like I said, Andalites have no mouth and no spoken speech. Axe seemed to think that mouths were some kind of toy. Yes, Axe agreed. Yeah, yes. And one other thing, the shoes go on your feet, not in your pockets. Yes, I remember. He pulled his sneakers out of his pockets and looked at them helplessly. Rachel and Cassie each took a foot and got them laced up. People are going to think he's weird, Rachel said, sounding exasperated. Fortunately, it's the mall on a Saturday morning, I pointed out. It'll be full of weird people. Not this weird, Rachel said. This could be trouble. Isn't it a little late for you to admit that I was right and this idea is insane? I asked her. Besides, no need to worry. I'll be there. Great. Then it should be a disaster. We caught the bus without any problem. Axe made strange mouth noises the entire trip, but the bus was mostly empty. We got to the mall right on time. So far, so good, Jake said as we headed into the mall. I rolled my eyes. Jake, do me a favor. Don't ever say, so far, so good. The only time anyone ever says, so far, so good, is right before everything blows up in his face. So far, far, Axe said, trying out the sounds. So far, so good. Oh man, I said. Chapter 5. The mall was a zoo. Wall-to-wall people. Old people moving real slow. Married people with squalling babies and big, huge strollers. High school kids trying to look cool. Mall police trying to look tough. Good-looking girls carrying bags from the Limited. Your basic Saturday at the mall. Okay, so where's RadioShack? Jake wondered. I don't know, I said. Is it up on the second level? You know, down by Sears? Is that it? Or is that Circuit City? Let me check the map over there. Axe? Come on with... Jake suddenly stopped. Marco? Where's Axe? I spun around. He was right here. Bodies everywhere. All I saw were bodies. Men, women, boys, girls, babies. But no aliens. At least not that I could see. We'd lost Axe. It had taken a total of about 2 minutes for us to mess up. Then suddenly I saw a strangely familiar face. Oh, there he is, on the escalator. How did he get all the way over there? Jake demanded. We took off after him, but it was so crowded we could barely move. Jake started pushing his way through. I grabbed him by the arm. Don't run, man. The mall cops will think you're ripping something off. Besides, we can't attract attention. Controllers shop too. Jake slowed instantly. You're right. This many people, some of them are sure to be controllers. We threaded our way, moving as quickly as we could without being too obvious. I just kept saying, excuse me, and tried not to bump into anyone who looked like he'd get mad and pound me. It seemed to take forever to reach the escalator. By that time, we had totally lost sight of Axe. As long as he doesn't demorph, we're okay, Jake said. I mean, what's the worst he could do? Jake, I don't want to think about the worst he could do, I said. There. Where? Over at Starbucks, the coffee place. I'm not as tall as Jake, so I couldn't see him as easily. But we got near Starbucks. I spotted him. He was standing patiently in line. We got to him just in time to hear him say, I'll have a double latte too. Double. Bull. Latte, a. He must have heard someone else say it, I whispered to Jake. Calf or decaf? The clerk asked. Axe stared. Calf? Calf? That will be $2.95. Axe stared some more. 5. Jake reached into his pocket and yanked out the money he'd brought to pay for things at RadioShack. Here you go, he said, peeling off $3. I took Axe's arm and guided him to the pickup window. Axe, don't go off on your own, okay? We almost lost you. Lost? I am here. Here. Yeah, look, just stay close, okay? I gave Jake a look. See, it's your fault. You said so far so good. The Starbucks guy handed Axe a paper cup. Axe took it. He looked around to see what other people were doing. Like them, he put a lid on his cup. Then, still mimicking the others, he attempted to drink. Axe, I said. You have to drink where the little hole is in the lid. A hole in the lid? No spills. Ills. This was the coolest thing Axe had ever seen. I guess coffee cup technology hasn't advanced very far in the Andalite homeworld. Probably because they don't have mouths, and so drinking is not a big concern. But whatever the reason, Axe wouldn't shut up about it. So simple, simple, and yet so effective. Yeah, it's a real miracle of human technology, I said. I have wanted to try other mouth uses, drinking, eating. Then, as an afterthought, he added, eating. Ting. Just line the little hole up with your mouth, I said. Come on, there's RadioShack. We've already lost like 10 minutes. The two of us hemmed Axe in and herded him toward the RadioShack. Then he drank the coffee. Ah! Oh! 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 What is that? What? I asked, alarmed. I swiveled my head around back and forth, looking for some danger. A new sense. I cannot explain it. It comes from this mouth. He pointed at his mouth. It happened when I drank this liquid. It was pleasant. Very pleasant. It took a few seconds for Jake and I to realize what he was talking about. Oh, taste. He's tasting it, Jake said. He doesn't normally have this sense of taste. Oh, at least he stopped repeating sounds, I muttered. Taste, Axe said, contradicting me. Aced. Taste. He drank his coffee and we rushed him up to RadioShack. Okay, look, Axe, we have very little time. See if the stuff you need is here. I'll say this for Axe. He may have been a little weird by human standards, but the boy knew his technology. I mean, he went down the pegboards in the back of the store and just started lifting off different components. This must be a primitive Gertmoff, he said, inspecting small switch. And this could be a sort of fleer. Very primitive, but it will work. In 10 minutes' time, he'd accumulated a dozen components, ranging from coaxial cable to batteries to things I didn't even recognize. Good, he said at last. All I lack is a Z-space transponder. Ponder. A what? A Z-space transponder. It translates a single into zero space. I looked at Jake. Zero space? Jake looked back at me and shrugged. Never heard of it. Axe looked doubtful. Zero space, he repeated. Zero. The opposite of true space. Anti-reality. He looked patiently from one of us to the other. Zero space. The non-dimension where faster-than-light travel is possible. Possible. Oh, I said sarcastically. That's zero space. Axe? Sorry to be so primitive and all, but we don't have faster-than-light travel. I've never heard of zero space. Oh. Yeah. Oh. Let's get this stuff and worry about the other thing later, Jake said calmly, but I could tell he was getting slightly hacked off. I'll go pay for this stuff. Jack strained the last of his coffee. Taste, he said. I would like more taste. He cocked his head. I smell things. I believe there is a connection between smell and taste. Yeah, you're right, I said. We can't travel faster than light, but we can make a sticky bun that smells pretty good. Sticky, Axe said. Must I carry this? He asked, indicating his empty coffee cup. No, you can just throw it away. Bad choice of words. Axe threw the coffee cup. He threw it hard. It hit one of the cashiers in the head. Hey! Sorry, it was an accident, man, I yelped and rushed to the cashier. He's sick. He has this condition. You know, like out-of-control spasms. Jake said, yeah, it's not his fault. It's like a seizure. The clerk rubbed his head. Okay, forget it. Besides, he's out of here, and that's all I care about. He's what? Jake and I turned fast, but Axe was gone. Jake grabbed the bag of stuff and raced after me into the stream of people. Axe was nowhere to be seen. But then I looked down at the lower level. There was a crowd of people kind of surging, all moving in the same direction, like they were running to see something. They're heading towards the food court, Jake said. Oh, I have a very bad feeling about this, I said. We ran for the escalator. We shoved down it, yelling, excuse me, every 2 seconds. We got to the food court. We wormed our way through a crowd of laughing, giggling, pointing people. And there, all alone, because all the same people had pulled away, was Axe. He was racing like some lunatic from table to table, snatching up leftover food and shoving it in his mouth. As I watched, he grabbed a half-eaten slice of pizza. "Taste!" he yelled as he scarfed a huge bite. He threw the rest of the pizza through the air. It just missed the mall cop who was closing in on him. Axe couldn't care less. He had found a piece of a Cinnabon. "This was the smell!" he cried. He jammed the roll into his mouth. "Ah! Taste! Taste! Wonderful! Full, full." "They do make a good sticky bun," I muttered to Jake. "We have to get him out of here," Jake hissed. "Too late. Look. 3 more mall cops." The cops jumped at Axe. Axe decided it was a good time to throw the rest of the bun away. It hit the nearest cop in the face. "Axe! Run! Run!" I yelled. I guess I got through because Axe ran. Unfortunately, he couldn't run very well in his 2-legged human morph, so as he ran and stumbled, chased by huffing, puffing mall police, he began to change. Chapter 6. "Stop!" a cop yelled. "I am ordering you to halt." But Axe wasn't interested in halting. He was panicked. A woman stepped out of the body shop holding a bag full of colorful jars. Axe plowed right into her, and the bag went flying. The stalks began to grow out of the top of his head. The extra eyes appeared at the ends and turned backward to watch the people chasing him. Jake and I were 2 of those people. We were ahead of the cops, but not by much. Fortunately, I guess the cops assumed we were just idiots running along for fun. I can hear one of the cops yelling into his walkie-talkie, "Cut him off at the entrance!" Legs began to grow from the chest of the Axe's human morph. His own front legs, small at first, but growing rapidly. He was slowing down as his human legs began to change. The knees were reversing direction, his spine elongated into the beginnings of a tail. That's when the screaming started. "Ah! What is it? What is it?" People were screaming and running and dropping their bags as they caught a glimpse of a nightmare creature Axe had become. Half human, half andalite, a fluid, shifting mess of half-formed features. I couldn't blame them. I felt like screaming myself. We were getting near the exit, racing past the shoe repair place. Suddenly, Axe fell forward, tangled up in his own mutating legs. He skidded down the polished marble floor. Most of the crowd had been left behind, but the mall police were still with us. "You kids get out of the way," one of them yelled at us. "This guy could be dangerous." Axe sprang up. He was much more sure of himself now that he was on his 4 andalite hooves. The morph was almost entirely complete. His mouth was gone, his extra eyes were in place. His 2 arms and 4 legs were fully formed. Then at the very last, the tail appeared. It was then that I heard the nearest mall cop in an odd, frightened whisper say, "Andalite." I quickly turned and looked at him. Only a controller would recognize an andalite. The controller cop drew his gun from his holster. "Run!" I yelled at Axe. The controller stood between Axe and the door. Big mistake. The andalite tail flashed faster than my eyes could follow. The cop's gun went flying through the air. He clutched in a hand that was red with blood. Out the door we blew, running for our lives. Sirens. "Those are real cops coming," I said. "Not mall rent-a-cops." "Where should we go?" Axe demanded, reverting to thought speech. Oh, now he wants advice. I looked around frantically. The bus was not going to be an option. The mall cops poured from the glass doors. The city police screamed toward us in their black and whites. All we could do was run, so we ran. Up rows of parked cars, 2 kids, and a guy who did not belong on this planet. "The grocery store," Jake yelled. "What?" I gasped. I was getting tired. "In there," he pointed. It was the grocery store across the parking lot. It was the only way we could go. Police cars screeched to a halt around us. "Freeze!" "I don't think so," I said. We jetted through the big glass doors of the supermarket at full, panicked run. I halfway expected to hear guns firing and bullets whizzing. "Jake," I yelled, "help me here." I had an idea for slowing down our pursuers. I grabbed a big row of parked grocery carts and shoved them back towards the doors. Jake grabbed on and helped. Then we were off and running again, with Axe skittering shakily on the slippery floor and banging into groceries. Cans of olives and tomatoes crashed behind him. Customers screamed and crashed their carts into each other. "It's a monster! Mommy, it's a monster!" some little kid yelled. "It's just a pretend monster," his mother said. "Yeah, a pretend monster, right?" Then I saw our way out. It was at the end of the aisle, but I needed some time. I needed to get everyone out of the way. We couldn't have witnesses. "There's a bomb!" I screamed at the top of my lungs. "Bomb!" "What?" Jake demanded. "There's a bomb! A bomb in the store! Run! Everyone out! A bomb!" "What are you doing?" Jake yelled. "The cops have the place surrounded. There's only one way out," I snapped. I pointed at the live lobster tank at the end of the aisle by the seafood counter. "Oh no," Jake groaned. "Oh yes," I grinned. The shoppers were running in panic, either from the supposed bomb or just from Axe. But the baskets in the doorway and the people shoving to escape slowed the cops down for a precious few moments. I had the feeling the controller cops were making sure that no real cops came in after us. They wanted us for themselves, with no human witnesses. "Let's go for a swim," I said. It was a big lobster tank, fortunately. I hoisted myself up the side and climbed in, and Jake was right behind me. We each grabbed a lobster and threw one to Axe. It was not easy acquiring the lobster. It took concentration. And all I could think of was that there was an awful lot of cops outside the store, probably getting ready to rush in. And they would all have guns. The lobster went limp and passive the way animals do when you acquire them. I dropped him back in the water. We stripped off our outer clothes and shoes and stuffed them along with the RadioShack bag in a trash can. Axe had already begun to morph. Jake and I waited till he had shrunk a little and then hauled him into the tank with us. He was already hard, like armor, and his arms had begun to split open and swell. Then I began to morph. I've been afraid a lot since we became Animorphs, but I have not gotten used to it. And I can tell you, I was so scared my bones were rattling. At any second, they were going to rush in. At any moment, they were going to catch us half morphed. I looked over at Jake. His eyes were gone, replaced by little black BBs. Ew. As I watched, 8 spindly blue insect-like legs erupted from his chest. "Ah!" I yelped in shock. Jake's face seemed to pop open. It split open into a complex mess of valves. I think I would have thrown up seeing that, except that I also no longer had a mouth. At that very moment, I felt an antenna explode from my forehead like impossibly long spears. I was shrinking as I morphed, falling down into the water, which had been around my thighs and was now around my neck. I had the terrifying sensation of knowing that all my bones inside of my body were dissolving, as a hard fingernail-like crust covered me all over. My human body was melting away. My human vision was fading. I could no longer see the way a human sees, which was a good thing, because I really did not want to see what I was becoming.